Hello, my name is Mike Anderson, and I've actually had several people contact me and ask me how I do the pictures on Facebook and color them. So I thought I would try to put this together since it's a lot easier to show somebody visually. I'm not a speaker or a great person in front of audiences, so if I screw up, you'll just have to excuse me. I was the guy in school that would get up there and get lockjaw in front of everybody. Anyway, I'm going to open up a folder and I'm going to show you a couple things here. Um, let's just set this for view, sorry. Large icons. Okay. This is a picture of my great-grandfather taken in about the 1880s. And we're going to get this one. Notice how we have a lot of extra area here around the picture. Well, when you're saving a picture, this is really just wasted space and just takes up the disk. So what I'm going to do is actually trim this, and by doing so I'm just going to draw a box around it with my mouse. Again, I'm using a program called iFriendView. It's right here. It's an awesome program. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because I want to focus on the coloring program, but you asked me how I did preparation of these pictures, and this is essentially what I've done. So now I'm just going to trim that a little bit. Another thing that I look at is when I get a picture, I look at the quality of the pixels, and so I can just take this, blow it up. As you can see, I'm clicking the mouse probably about 8 or 10 times, and I've got a good definition. I can see that there's not any streaking to speak of. You can see a little bit discoloration where the pixels are really starting to tear up here, but that's okay. I'm really extremely up on magnification. And what I do is I come over here to image and I resize the sample. And I make sure that I have my dots per resolution set to 300 or 400, which is fairly good for a picture. A typical printer will print out 300 to 400 dots per revolution, dots per inch, not revolution, resolution. So that's what I set it for. I can actually increase the pictures. You can see I'm creating a new size, and this will be a 5 by 6, etc. Anyway, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to save that. Oops, I need to make that bigger, sorry. I'll show you how it works. That's about what I want. Okay. Also with this picture, I can actually, if I got it and when I downloaded it was wrong, I could turn it different ways. I could actually, if I wanted to put a border around it, you can see what it would look like with different borders. If after I finish a picture completely, I could put that border around it, print it. There's a nice one, nice thick border with a blue background. Anyway, I'm not going to save it, so it really won't matter. And I'm now prepared to work on this picture. Another thing I wanted to show you is this is the same picture where he's a much later age, him and my great-grandmother. But notice how the picture's brown. A lot of times you'll get a picture that's brown. It's not very conducive to trying to color because essentially it already has a patina to it, and it's just nothing that you want to work with. So again, I'll get an image up here, and I'm going to convert it to grayscale, and that removes all that, and then I'm good to go to color. So with that being said, I'm going to go back here. I'm going to open Blackmagic, and I'm going to load the image. And we'll get this up. This is the small one. Let me clear that one. We'll load the big one. which is the one that I resized. Noticed how big it actually gets while it's loading. The reason I do this with the bigger picture is because those pixels that I was referring to, it's much easier to take a look at them and color them or do whatever. This is the palette. It pops up after you load a picture, and you can actually pick all these to work with, or by right-clicking my mouse, I'm doing the same thing. Essentially, the palette is over here also, but it's just in a different format. So I'm going to scoot this down just a little bit. Again, this is a big picture, but I like to see high resolution. And I'm going to go over here, and I don't know what his original hair color was. He was born in 1863, so I'm just guessing. And I forgot to mention, but this is your brushes, your brush palette with the different sizes. This is 20 by 20, 14 by 14, 8 by 8, 4 by 4. This corresponds to the size of the brush up here. When I click it, you'll see those numbers change, so I can pick the size brush that I want. Anyway, I'll just color the hair. Can't get any simpler. I'm just tracing the lines, and that's about all there is to it. Once I get to a smaller area, I just decrease the size of the brush. If I want to get even smaller, I can get right down there. Now if I want to do his face, I typically like skin dark. I've tried the other ones, but for some reason the dark just seems to work better for me. But if you have a pale person, you can do it. If you don't like it, you can always change it. And here again, I'm just tracing. I can actually go over that. Won't bother it. Come back, do the ears. I don't know why back then it seemed like everybody had big ears. They always seem to stick out. After they've done that, I want to do my eyes. I'm going to pick blue, pick a smaller brush, and I'm just going to color his eye blue. If I like that, I'll color this one green. I think he had two different color eyes anyway, but essentially that's all I'm doing to color the eyes. If I want that to be darker, I'll just go up here, pick layered, and then every time I click on it, release the mouse, click on it, I just get darker and darker. I keep laying additional transparencies of color on top of it. The other thing I do is, especially with these older guys, and they love to dress up, we got a fancy tie and looks like a stick pin here and some flowers. So what I'll do is I'll go down with the men or the women, and you have an object. I can pick, where is it at? Cold. I'll pick a real small brush, and then I can just give them a gold stick pin. He might even have one of those little tie things up there. Sometimes they have those. Another cool thing about black magic is, and you've seen some of the colors that I've done on some of the dresses, I'm going to take this pansy, and I'm just using just one of the brushes, and in a matter of 30 or 40 seconds I've created a nice looking pansy. I'm not going to take the time to get a smaller brush and go in and fill it in, because I'm just demonstrating this. I've already done this picture and saved it. If I want to change the color, make it a red, get out of the layer here, red and yellow, I just go back in, pick red and yellow, and I can just paint away. For the suits, back then it seemed like they only had about 3 colored suits. They had gray, black, and brown, and maybe blue, maybe 4 colors. And that's essentially it. So remember that these are just colors. They've kind of categorized them to make it easier to get a concept of what they were. But I use buildings, I turn them black. I use blonde to make yellow colored building bricks. Anyway, I'm just going to get in here and I'll give them a brown suit. Another thing I can do is I'll actually use like the iris green, and I can lightly color his shirt. It looked pretty good in that, pretty fancy. If I want to make it a little bit darker, I can increase the green. If it doesn't, and if I don't like that, I can just hit undo down here, start all over. Or if I screw up and I just want to erase a certain area, I can hit the erase button and just remove a little bit. I don't like that or like that, I can just erase it. Gives me a little bit of latitude. So let me clear this image out, and then I'm going to show you a couple of other things. I'm going to commit no, and that way I won't touch it. We'll get another image here. That's actually that's Lawrence Welk with my aunt. This was when she was in 20s. They were going to get married, and he was a very devout Catholic, and they were Lutheran. And my great-great-grandmother, and they just had a fit, so they wouldn't let him get married. But he used to come over to the house all the time, and my grandmom said she would play the piano and he'd play his accordion, but they never did get married. Anyway, let me pick this picture that I talked about a little bit where he was older. And I wanted to show you what I do with some of these other colors. One of my favorite colors you'll see a lot on the pictures that I do is this brush forest. And I'll take a big brush. And you notice when I color in the background, it is a nice color, but then as I get closer and the pixels are darker, the shade gets darker, which is pretty cool. And you can tell from this picture, I noticed that after I was coloring it, there's some kind of device, U-shaped. There's two of them. I don't know if he's holding his head still. And here's some rings, and there's a rod that's with snaps on that's holding these artificial leaves up. But I never noticed that until I actually blew the picture up and started to paint it. So anyway, that's how I do the bushes. I can select spring, and then you can see it. You got to be careful what you're doing and where you're publishing. A little bit of a harsh color is not too much of a good thing. So that's how I do the brushes. And if I actually go down, let's go to another picture. We're going to clear this. One last picture, and then I'll be done with the demonstration, and then you guys can download it and experiment on your own. Where is it? Okay. This is my grandfather. He was born in 1900, and he's the son of the gentleman that had the pansy on. So I'm not going to do a lot of stuff here. You can see that I'm actually taking a color that's not the hair, but I'm just creating my own color that I want, blonde. I can take back to the forest. As I color this, it gets darker. If I make a mistake and I accidentally go over the tree, it's no big deal. I can just pick the color of the tree that I'm going to use. And here you see I used rock brown, which I use on rocks, but I like a dark tree, so I just color this in. Last thing you have to look out for, and I'll explain it, is I'm going to go up here and take Makeup's blue, and I'm going to start to color this. They use these confirmation dresses or whatever they used them for. I noticed all the kids a long time ago, back in the 1900s, seemed to wear these things. And you notice how that it's coming on with transparency. You can see the dots, you can see the lace underneath it, and it's actually it's kind of very pretty. There, I'll do some green. But let's say, for example, that I want to make that a little bit darker. Again, I'll go up and just add a little bit more blue, kind of change the color. But here's watch what happens. If I go up to the face or to the tree, you can see, again, based upon the pixels, what happens to the color. It's very light here, but it gets darker over here. So this is what I do a lot of times when I'm creating a color. I turn my blue all the way up and my green all the way down. And you remember back in grade school where you mix your three colors to get all the different colors of the rainbow. You can see it's quite a blue. But now when I go up here, it really pops out. And this is some of the colors that I used to create and put on the cars, which made them really stand out. So I like that color a lot. I just go down here to record, and then I'll call it fancy blue or luminescent blue. Whatever I want to do is save it. And then you can see down here on my own palettes that these are some of the colors that I've created by myself. So I've found a mahogany I liked for wood. I found a pine that I liked for wood. Again, if I take that pine, put it on white or on a different shade, it's not the same as being on a different pixelation. So that brings me to my final statement. If you're coloring a big brick building, or even let's say you color his face, and you like the face and everything, you save it and you want to go back a couple days later, you'll save this. Well, when you load this thing back in, his face is going to be colored. Now the problem is whatever you have here that you pick will no longer be the same color, and as you can see, you can no longer get the same shade. So keep your palette open, complete an object or a face or a building, do all one color at once, and then when you're satisfied, you can quit and go into another color, or make sure you save it. Again, I don't. I keep it. I keep this thing open 3 or 4 or 5 days until I'm done. There, I got a nice purple, and I'd have to remember that I took and laid pale fair over that deep purple and or the deep blue and got that color. And I hope this was of some value to you.